Hello, RP people, and welcome back to another episode of Role Playing as Smart People. No, we don't know how to be professional. We were just talking about this.
Leave it in.
Oh my god. The podcast where we pretend to know what we're talking about when it comes to anything RPGs and tabletop. My name is Santa, and I'm glad you can tune in again. Joining me as always, I have Mr. Finder and Scott W. Say hello, guys.
Sibilance. Hello.
I can't.
Okay, the reason why is because I was like, okay, I'm going to change up the intro because we never talk about news and we haven't done any reviews yet, so I'm going to change it up. And then I get to that part and my brain just looks at it and I'm just like, no, it doesn't work. I can say the old one now perfectly fine. I changed up for literally like 8 words and I made it shorter and I screwed it all up. I don't get it.
It's like Benji trying to ask out a new girl in Pitch Perfect too.
Pretty much. Anyways, on today's episode, we're going to be discussing dice mechanics as well as other non-conventional or gimmick systems. So just to start it off, you guys got a favorite dice?
What do you mean?
You know, D4, D6, D8, D10.
Oh, what's your favorite polyhedron?
Yeah, pretty much. Hey, we all have it when it comes to playing a game.
I don't know. I like the D10s, the D8s. The shape is nice and they're easy to spin.
I don't know. I love D6s. They're the
boring.
most. I know they're the most basic ones, but it's also the easiest one to roll like 30 of them. And I love if I can throw out more dice, I'm in heaven.
What are you talking about? You could throw any number of any dice.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know,
Except like
D6
D100s and D30s, maybe.
Go with White
Yeah.
Wolf, man. They do a dice pool with D10s.
Yeah, I'll go totally unconventional. I like the D7. Boom. Dungeon Crawl Classics. Yes, it is.
Is
Yeah.
there an
You say-
actual
you
D7?
It's like a pentagon.
Bro, Google Zaki dice for Dungeon Crawl Classics. Dungeon Crawl Classics uses a D2, a D3, a D4, a D5, a D6, a
God.
D7, a D8, a D10, a D12, a D14, D16, a D20, and a D24. And a D30.
I'm disappointed that it doesn't have a D11.
I don't. They probably could make one, right? I mean, the shapes are so damn weird. But yeah. There's a whole thing of Zaki dice. Yeah, then the DCC uses all these cool dice for dice chaining.
That is the weirdest dice I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's baller.
Well, back in the day, I'm not seeing what this one looks like, but back in the day, the D7 was like a pentagon. It literally was.
Yep. Yeah, so you have those. The D5s are like pentagons too. But companies are trying to do experiments with weird shapes and stuff. So yeah, man.
Anyone who's listening, like, just look it up. It honestly looks like they accidentally just printed the numbers on the wrong part of it, like a misprint. Like, it's the weirdest thing.
I like how you went from D7's not real, you dumbass, to like, oh my god.
I didn't even think I didn't say you dumbass. I just didn't think it was a real thing. Like,
That's what I heard, dumbass. Finder.
I heard dumbass as well. I thought we were all friends here, but apparently we know where we stand.
This podcast is canceled. I'm not doing this anymore. So there you go. There's your answers. What about? And you said you like the D6.
Yeah, I like the D6. I honestly find it's just like you can find them anywhere. So if you forget your dice, you can literally drive down to Walmart and pick them up in 10 seconds. But also, I don't know, they just come in so many cool colors, and I know the other ones do too, but like usually if you're buying a bulk set of dice, you're not going to find like a bulk set of like D10s or D12s. You're going to find them mostly in D6s.
You're going to get so much hate on Twitter for this.
Why?
People are going to send you thousands of links to bulk dice. You can buy blank dice, buy different shapes. This is amazing. This has gone from let's talk about weird mechanical shit to like let's discuss what you don't know about dice.
Well, you're not wrong. Yeah.
Did you know I saw a dice shaped like a triangle? Holy crap.
Oh my god. No, this is just like how much of an idiot can we make Santa look like? That's
no,
what
it's
this
not
episode's
it.
about.
It's sweet of how innocent you are about dice. Like, yeah, I can order probably 1,000 D6s right now, but I can only buy one D10 at a time.
No, but you know what I mean. Like if you go to any gaming shop or something like that, on
Uh-huh.
average, you'll be
Uh-huh.
able to buy D6s like
Uh-huh.
in bulk. You'll either be able to buy a full set of D&D dice,
Yeah. Yeah.
or you'll have to buy them all individually. Like I'm talking about game shops. I know if you go
No,
online to
I'm
Amazon and
tracking.
all that, but yeah,
I'm tracking.
you're just-
This is awesome. Except for those
I was-
tubes of vampire dice that come in D10s.
yeah. I don't think my
Going.
shop actually has those, to be honest.
Oh, vampires died out and is no longer popular or important. So,
Yeah, that's
ooh,
fair.
hot take, spicy take. Put a pin in it.
Yeah.
How next topic for next time: how to kill your brand in 5 easy steps. That's a
So,
topic
yeah.
we really need to do for some of these companies.
Oh my! You want to do like that's where I can start throwing back in that thing with reviewing, where we're not reviewing the actual RPG, we're reviewing the company.
Yeah, I mean, I know
That'll
probably
get us
there's
a-
several game companies that have all but destroyed their brand.
Oh,
But anyway, dice mechanics. So we got our favorite dice. What is your non-favorite dice mechanic?
Mechanic or die?
I say mechanic.
I think they're kind of intertwined if you think about it. So,
Well, not necessarily because I hate the D4 because it's just a pain in the butt. It doesn't roll.
No, I'm talking about like I love Savage Worlds action cards at the table. I think a deck of playing cards changes the way initiative flows completely.
yeah,
And I probably would use it in all games if I could.
Yeah. I mean, when we're talking that type of thing, like I hate static initiatives. So it's like roll once and then you follow that same order for ad infinitum. I hate that. But
so boring.
yeah.
Santa,
Like-
favorite any mechanic?
Dice mechanic,
Non-dice mechanic. God damn,
non-dice.
man.
You
Is this
said
microphone not working? What's your
No.
favorite
Yeah,
non-dice mechanic?
I am totally off today. I'm sorry.
You
Wow.
are.
I
This is gonna
am.
be the greatest episode ever.
Can we redo the intro?
No.
Hello, welcome to. Maybe I
Yeah,
can get it right.
not non-dice mechanic.
Ooh.
Or
That's a
even
good
like maybe a weird one. Like some people really like the what do you call it? That shit. We used to not play it back in the day. Fate, like the Fate dice. They're dice, but they're not really dice, right? They're symbols.
I'm not a fan of the Fate dice. I do like, and it's going to sound like a broken record because we always talk about Savage Worlds, but I do like the card initiative. I remember when I first started playing it, it was like with a couple people before you guys, and we read it and we just completely kiboshed it. We didn't even touch it. We just went to rolling every single time. And to be honest, I felt like now using it, I felt like I kind of was left out.
Oh,
so yeah. Honestly, I love just cards in RPGs in general. I think they're such a great addition, and I don't know why more companies don't just implement a deck of cards. Like actually one of my favorite ones, it's a war game, but it's actually Malifaux. And the whole system is played with a deck of cards, and you also have, and my favorite part of it is actually how you have a hand. Like you have like, depending on like what it is, but I think it's like 5 or 6 cards. It's been a long time since I looked at the rules, and you can actually cheat in cards in order to get better advantage, right? So if it's like, oh shit, I really need to do this, well, I'm just going to say like a joke. I only have a 3. I'm going to cheat in a 10, or even they have it with even with the suits. So it's like, okay, well, this effect is actually going to go off on. They have different names for it, but I'm going to just say like a spade. This effect goes off on a spade, and so you cheat in a spade so that you're able to actually get that effect on top of it. And I always thought it was just the coolest kind of mechanic.
Well, I mean, the other things that cards are good for are adding other elements, right? Like what you're describing almost sounds a little bit like adventure cards in Savage Worlds, where the adventure card allows the player some control over the narrative to some degree, right? As an example, there's a card called Out of the Frying Pan, which allows you to get out of some really bad situation that you just can't get out of, or you don't know how to get out of. You're tired of the situation. It's like you play that card. Okay, you're now out of that situation, and now you're into something worse potentially, but it's different, and you may have unclogged a potential stall in the narrative. So cards can be used for all sorts of cool things.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Look at So Pathfinder had these. Pathfinder has a whole bunch of card sets, like chase cards, social combat cards, which are phenomenal. They are much more interesting than any boring nonsense that's going to come out of everyone's suck holes at the table. Because it presents you a cool situation, and there's a whole mini game involved in that, which I think is kind of what we're looking at, right? Is like these little mini games. I mean, that's the whole reason I wrote the narrative chase deck for Savage Worlds, and it did really well. And then lo and behold, Savage Worlds Pathfinder now has a chase deck in it, and the chases aren't just a bunch of normal poker cards put down on the tabletop. And what these cards do is it's like, hey, there's I don't know, a pile of dung in the street. You can jump over it with a dexterity or agility, or you can, plow through it and, not vomit on yourself using constitution or vigor. And so that's just much more interesting when you start flipping these cards over and you're like, oh, now we're building this cool narrative, and we can all sort of giggle and laugh and really play it out. Because normally it's like, well, where are you running to? Okay, we take this turn. Okay, cool. There's a building there. There's a rain barrel. It's just like, okay, cool. Because on the fly is really hard. But if you got these cool card mechanics, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I recommend everyone pick up his Pathfinder cards if you can, because you can use them for almost any game, or the narrative chase action deck.
Also, speaking of like even like cards, there's one RPG, Unbound. It's more of a universal system. But it's really unique because it only uses cards, and even how the damage works. When you do an attack, you'll usually have two cards to pick from towards doing your attack, but the suit actually is the thing that dictates the damage.
That's cool.
So you could pick a higher one, but it may actually cause you to either do 1 damage, or you could pick a lower one, kind of gamble with it, and maybe do 4 damage. Because I think everything, it's just 1 to 4 damage. And even how they do their stamina, it's like, so your actions and everything have stamina, and that pretty much is also your buffer towards damage, and you can replenish it, but you also will have cards completely taken out of your deck, which can cause you to die. And essentially, like, you have your stamina point right there, which is your health, and you need to actually like recoup yourself in order to keep yourself going. And even certain actions will cause you to kind of burn through stamina. So it's a really interesting game. I think have you guys checked out Unbound? I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
I have not.
Yeah, I really like it, but I haven't gone into play yet. But if you want a nice cooperative game that doesn't use dice, it looks like a lot of fun, and it's pretty simple. Like, they made it so that it only lasts like on average like 7 sessions, and then you can create a whole new world, or you can create a whole new story in the same world.
That's smart. That's the average amount of sessions that D&D campaigns last.
Yeah. Well, I think on average most campaigns only last 6 or 7.
Yes. It's not very long. I know people get big mad. They try to proclaim how they've been playing the same game since 1965. I don't.
Well,
really,
I can say that I have been. I started playing while I was in my mother's womb.
Yeah, it's just like this giant insult to be like, okay, well, it's like when boomers say real dumb shit, and it's like, I'm going to tell you a secret. We have the internet, and we have statistics. Computers keep track of all kinds of shit going on the internet right now, like videos and audio and things to views and login cycles. And it's like back in the 90s, remember when GeoCities had that cute little counter of page visits? Imagine that for real in 2022. It's just like, stop pretending. Okay, so I will tell you this, right? Yeah, it's just like, come on, man. Like, stop. I get them people in my office too, because I'm a Gen Xer, and there are a lot of Gen Xers with me, but they still have boomer attitudes about shit. They're like, no one said that. Like, bitch, the internet's real.
Well, for people that are like that, though, it's like, be proud that you're an outlier. Don't question the statistic. I'm an outlier. I'm playing in a Deadlands game that's been going for multiple sessions over years now. And granted, we take breaks between sessions because we rotate GMing, but
yeah, that's awesome.
Hey, I'm an outlier.
Right, yeah. It just is what it is. I mean, hell, it just is what it is. So you asked a question about why more games don't incorporate cards and stuff into it.
Yep.
Do you want to know why?
I would love to know why.
The average gamer, and Finder can jump in here after I say the terrible things. The average gamer playing the average game, which is Dungeons and Dragons, old school D&D, more than any probably, lose their utter goddamn minds at the thought of anything new hitting the table. It
Unless it's a source book with additional
yeah. Yeah, as long as it says Watsy on it, it's just like, oh, it makes sense now. Or it's like, oh well, Gary Gygax, we unearthed this treasure trove of Gary, like that thing that just happened. They're like looking at all these old notes from one of the dudes who played with Gygax, and he's like, oh yeah, just can confirm one more time that Gygax, he wrote all these games and didn't actually use any of the goddamn rules he wrote.
Well, I'm just now imagining now it's just some people like, oh god, I hate this. It uses cards. It's made by Wizards of the Coast. This thing is awesome.
Oh, bro, it's constant, just constant.
Well, they've got the Taroka deck now.
Yeah, right. And it's only used for Strahd. How dare you?
Yeah. I think you can also buy the deck of many things, which is essentially just a way to destroy any campaign.
It is, but it's still fun. But yeah, I mean, in general, you'll see like a lot of complaints. People don't want cards because to them, it's a delineation between tabletop role-playing game and tabletop board game, which is weird because tabletop board games are such vastly different monsters than a role-playing game that,
Yeah, and like,
I mean, hell, I turned Hero Quest into a role-playing game with my son. It's not really a role-playing game. It's a board game, but I would tell the story and we would play the game and he would roll the die, like,
mm-hmm.
It's just weird.
Yeah, I kind of get that, but at the same time, people are like, well, this is a RPG. It's not a board game, but you're playing on a battle mat, moving
with dolls,
moving pieces on either squares or hexagons
with limited moves. With
limited moves.
What if I told you that the spiciest
you roll dice to see how many moves you can make,
following a key structure? And both actions, movement, and when each player can take their turn.
Yes, it's almost like it's a thing. I mean, yeah, it's like I said, one of the conversations we have coming up is I'll just tease it. D&D is not a role-playing game, but that's okay. We'll get to that topic.
Yeah, we still need to record that one at some point and just expect to be canceled off the internet. Like, seriously, just taken off. Podbean will just cancel us.
that which is canceled cannot be canceled.
Ooh. But yeah, even like, because we talked about favorite dice, but yeah, even like dice mechanics. I find the one thing that's interesting about dice is even though it is used all the time, people always seem to find new and unique ways to actually use them. There's so many different systems out there. Like even just because I was on a little bit of a kick of reading over all the lore and everything on Legends of the Five Ring, I never thought about doing like roll 8, keep 4.
You're right. Yeah.
And it's such a smart way to do it. Like I'm in practice, I haven't seen it because we haven't played it yet. Hint, hint. But I can, like, it would be interesting because one of the clans, they're supposed to be sneaky and all that, and they're also supposed to seem slightly inept, the Scorpion clan. So purposely failing your roll in order to either like almost like get something more advantageous in the long run almost seems like a lot of fun. But
yeah, sure. I mean, well, what was that? Like even some of the smaller games, like or the like OSR, like Black Hack has a usage die, and it's kind of neat. You have something, a certain die roll occurs, you roll the usage die, and if you hit the max value on that die, then your weapon degrades or your equipment degrades, and that's how you determine if you're using ammo and your shit's breaking.
Oh, so that's really cool.
Yeah, very simple stuff, right?
Yeah. What, out of curiosity, like the only dice where personally I'm not the biggest fan, and it's just because I find it too swingy, is the D20, and it's mostly to be fair, I was kind of neutral on it, but I played a war game that actually use the D20, and that's where I started to really not really like it, because it just it can swing so far one way to the other, and you need so many, like, you need like a +7 or a +8 in order to make it feel like, oh yeah, my character can do what he's supposed to do. And I just
See,
found,
is that a problem with the D20, or is it a problem with the mechanics? And the reason I say that is, if you think about it, a D20 is nothing but increments of 5%.
There you go.
yeah, it might
All
be a
true.
problem with the system then. Like it's a pretty popular system, but
Well, it's just in general. Like I got some pushback. Oh, like one of the more negative comments that I had, which is, but the dude was really cool about it, and they handled it really well, and they did exactly what I would have told them to do anyway. Is like
Mhm.
Neon Blood's target number is a 16, which is one higher than the default for D&D. D&D's default is 15, and people really complain about it. But I did it in 16 because in Neon Blood, your characters aren't little mulings like in D&D first level characters. You know, Neon Blood, you got cybernetics, you got guns, you got gear, you got a lot of shit going for you. And, you know, he was like, well, we just thought it was too high, so we just went ahead and lowered it. I was like, cool. Yeah, easy day. Like, it's your game. Do whatever the hell you want. But, you know,
Yeah.
there's always a reason for that. And Neon Blood's played on a D20, and yeah, that makes it a real difficult number to hit. But in my mind, there's enough bonuses going on that you can do it. And I think maybe some other games are kind of like that, where they look at it, they're like, hey, there's enough bonuses going on that you really can do this.
Mhm.
But I don't know. But yeah, I mean, you know, you're not wrong. It's weird. It is definitely a mechanic issue. It's not the dice, because the dice are just, you know, it's like people in Savage Worlds who are like, oh, everything should be a D4 because, you know, it aces 25% of the time. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool. Now do that math backwards and tell me how often it fails then.
Yeah.
You know.
No,
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
definitely like a fair point. Like I'm basing it off of this couple games I had with was it Stargrave, which is
Oh,
pretty much
yeah.
it's the sci-fi version of Frostgrave, if you guys ever heard of that
Uh-huh.
game. A
Yeah.
lot of fun, and it's nice because it's more of a narrative one. And for like for a more narrative war game where it's meant to be played over multiple different sessions, I think it's all right because it's not something crazy competitive. Uh, but I can never see anything competitive coming out of that, just based off the system and how swingy the dice actually is. My only other experience with Wargame would be pretty much D6s, which I think anyone who ever Wargames can probably guess from me liking to throw a lot of D6s what game that is.
But it's pretty much, there's a lot of war games, right? D6 is kind of the standard.
Oh
Chainmail
yeah,
started
totally.
out with D6s, you know.
Oh yeah, like trying to think. I know, yeah, 40K AOS, even the one that I currently have downstairs that I have to build 80 something models for, and I'm only 5 down.
Jesus
Uh,
God.
I know. That one uses, actually, it's neat. That one uses a mixture of dice and cards. Um,
Very cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. It's just, I find a lot of games tend to just go with D6s.
Yeah. Well, you're right. You're not wrong that as
Huh.
much as we broke your balls, you're not wrong that they are the easiest dice to find.
Yeah.
Really. You can rate any board game in your closet and be like, oh, we suddenly have dice for Shadowrun.
Mm-hmm. And like, I even
Then when you
think
want to
like,
go play Monopoly, it's like, where are the dice?
no,
They're at
Jimmy,
never.
Walmart, loser.
were you pretending to be an elf again?
Yeah. Well, from your own experience, Scott, like what dice would you actually say are like the ones that are the least used, or even the ones that you like using the least when you're making a game?
Oh, duh. I try to use them all. I don't like the D4 really in a game. I don't like how they roll, and they're just too easy to just, you know, fuck about with and cheat.
Or step on?
Step on. I mean, yeah, if you're that clumsy, but like the least
Yeah.
used in a lot of things, but that's, you know, it's always remedied through trendy game systems and stuff, is like the D12. I think the D12 is a cool die. You know, I like to see that in use more. There's a few systems out there that use it, but you know, a lot of folks are like, you know, how come you went with a regular D20 system for your first couple of games? I was like, well, because there's an open gaming license you may have heard about and it's really easy to write for it. It's a built-in audience. You know, if you can play D&D, you can play any of the 2 games that I currently have out, so it's easy. But yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of it. I don't disfavor anything. I try to get as creative as humanly possible with it. And try to spread the love.
Well, even there's Lucas from Blackfisk. His whole system is based off of D4s.
Yeah, right.
And at first,
which means if I'm going to do that, I've got to go buy some of those D4s that actually roll.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? The different ones. Yeah, those like weird kind of not really round, but round.
Yeah, but oblongish.
Yeah.
I think there's even the ones that are like the spin top ones that are like D4s. But for his game, although I kind of agree with you guys that the D4, it's like, you know, it's okay to roll, but it's not that great. In his game, it actually kind of makes sense to have the D4, and because he wanted to simplify the game as much as possible to see how simple you can have while still having a fun game and it being able to be played not over like, you know, 30 sessions, but for like 4 or 5 sessions. And he did that with literally an RPG that's even was it like Nintendo graphics for all the artwork. He tried to simplify everything so that you can be able to go super fluid. And the D4 itself, I feel like it's just an extension of all that, and he's almost kept that theme by using the simplest dice. So even for that, like normally, yeah, I wouldn't like a D4, but for his game, it really works.
Sure.
Although you realize you just contradicted yourself because the D6 is the most basic die.
Of course, and it's also it's a pixel, literally.
I meant like most like simplest.
Here we go. Back to breaking his balls.
I'm just going to shut up. You guys talk for the next hour.
It's funny. I was thinking the same shit. I was like, a D6 is literally a pixel.
It is. Yeah. Well, and you could, like, if you get enough of them, you buy them in bulk, since they're the only ones you can get in bulk. Yeah. You can make pixel art with them.
I meant like most simplest on like the numerical value.
No, we're tracking.
I know.
I knew what you meant.
You guys are so mean to me sometimes.
No, we're not. It's funny. It's good. It's good for the podcast.
Oh yeah.
Good for the podcast. Yeah, I don't know. See, dice mechanics. I mean, just mechanics in general. Just, you know, a lot of weird stuff out there.
Oh, there is. And even like I don't know how I feel about like gimmick dice.
I like the Fate dice, man. I don't necessarily care for the game itself.
Yeah.
But I designed a game using the Fate dice because I understand how it works, and it's
plus negative and blank.
Yeah, it's super stupid. It's dumb easy. Like if you roll the dice, you roll 4 of them, and you know a minus cancels out a plus, and the neutral is a neutral. Voila! What you have left over is a good or a bad or a neutral.
No, that's fair, and you can easily, even if you don't like it, you can just say 5 and 6 is a plus, 1, 2 negative.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And so, in that respect, like I don't like. That's why, like, even though I'm not a huge fan of like buying gimmick dice that are specifically for a certain system,
yeah,
I still like Fate because I can easily translate it to something simplistic.
Yeah. Now the gimmick dice is an interesting conversation because when Dungeon Crawl Classics first came out, those dice were really, really difficult to find. Like you had to try hard to get the Zaki dice. So Zaki is right. That Zaki dice back in your possession if you didn't already have them. And there were a lot of folks kind of in the camp that you're in. They're like, "Oh, this game's gonna fail." Well, okay. Well, fast forward, you know, and DCC is probably one of the best fantasy games out there, to be honest. And now the dice are everywhere because they have the moles. They have the what do you call that shit when you're legally authorized to do something? Copyright.
Yeah.
The patent. I didn't know they patented dice. This dude on Reddit had this whole list of dice patents that he put up, and it was just like, what the hell am I looking at? How can you patent dice? They are shapes with numbers. That is the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, no, like for the basic dice, yeah, but like if you look at like going back to L5R, who have very pretty dice, I would understand why they would copyright those dice.
Sure.
Just so that they're the only suppliers of it, and that's why they can sell them for like $15 for 10 dice.
Yeah, now there's your gimmick dice, and talk about a system that has probably not done well because of the dice. In general, Genesis, Star Wars was doing pretty well at first, and it's even starting to peter out. You can't go, a couple of hours without seeing used book sales online of all the Star Wars stuff.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah, like gimmick dice, it's definitely a massive gamble to do that.
Yeah.
Because unless you have a really hardcore fan base, most of them will probably look at it and say not for me. Like I don't know how it's doing. I haven't actually seen much about it, but even like Games Workshop, they have their own patented stupid freaking ruler that they have for Kill Team 2, where it literally is like, what is it? I think it's a square, a triangle, and something else.
Mhm.
And instead of having numbers on it, and
Well, Warhammer 3rd edition
yeah.
did that. They had special dice.
Oh no,
And
this is a ruler.
no, I'm tracking, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's not immune to that brand of doing
Yeah.
weird shit, And honestly, I think Warhammer probably this is heresy. I think Warhammer, the fantasy game, plays better with the narrative dice than it does with regular dice.
Huh.
Because of the how the Warhammer universe. But then again, I like the narrative dice in these systems because I think they're fun.
Yeah.
Do you mean Warhammer or do you mean Zweihander?
No, Warhammer.
I know.
Oh, you're such an asshole. Hey, I'll sit here and talk shit about Zweihander all day long because of the dirty inside baseball shit with all of that. But yeah, I was really shocked, and that Warhammer. I'm pretty sure it was 3rd edition. I could be high on crack right now.
Was it for Warhammer Fantasy?
Yeah, it was Warhammer Fantasy 3rd edition. I think it used a D8s, and they had narrative shit to them, like little symbols and shit. Because I want to say Final Fantasy put it out, and then it failed miserably. We can hear you live Googling. He's like, you're
Final
like
Fantasy or Fantasy Flight?
Fantasy Flight. Sorry,
Like, I know enough about Final Fantasy. It's a video
It is
game.
3rd
edition. All right, Santa is like my Jamie. I'm the Joe Rogan of role playing games.
Yeah.
No
No,
shit.
you're not wrong.
Now we
you're not
got
wrong.
canceled. God damn it.
Because you said Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe Rogan. Yeah. So yeah, but you see the dice, right? They had like the weird D8s and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find out you want me to put up a photo. Do you know how? What the? Okay, I found it on. No, I found it on eBay.
Oh,
Do you know
tell me, because how
do you know
much is it?
They're going for
About $1,000.
$60.
Oh, I might have to. What, the dice?
The dice.
Oh, because they're not produced anymore, yo. Let me have to. I need to buy the set of dice.
Here, there's the eBay.
Warmer.
Oh.
Are you going to put that eBay link in the liner notes for the podcast so that people listening are like, what's he talking about?
No, fuck these people. They're not taking my eBay.
I will put it up. Oh, chance are it's going to be done by the time that
Oh, this is all. Yeah, this is. I'll have to use your links. I googled the wrong thing.
Yeah, I just put Warhammer Fantasy RPG custom dice.
Yeah. Anyway, but you see what I'm talking about, right? So they use that,
Yeah.
and see, you didn't even know that there was a Warhammer 3rd edition.
I knew there was a 3rd edition. I didn't. I only looked at was it 2nd edition, which I think they had. I want to say that 2nd edition had custom cards. It's been a long time since I looked at it, but I'm pretty sure one had something to do with cards.
I think you're right. Yeah, I mean, they basically. I think these dice kind of made it look too much like a board game. To be honest with you.
Yeah, it was also 3rd edition. Also had cards.
Oh, did it really? Okay.
Yeah.
And they went all out, and it was Fantasy Flight. No, it was Games Workshop. I thought it was Fantasy Flight.
No, it was
Fantasy
eBay. It's Fantasy Flight.
Damn, look at that! I am good. Holy shit! I am a savant.
Yeah. No.
Man.
Yeah, and the funny thing, like, I think this whole episode should just be called off topic. We're barely talking about that.
No, we're talking about dice and mechanics. We're talking about different weird mechanics.
But Warhammer or Games Workshop, I find they have a tendency to come out with a pretty good RPG and then totally not support it.
And then sabotage it to no end.
They sabotage it to no end. Like Dark Heresy is an amazing game. The 2nd edition improved on the first one, and then they're just like, yeah, we're done with it. And now, in order to buy a book, it costs like $250.
Well, yeah, that's because to level up, you have to collect wood, and you have to get enough wood in order to level up. But if Finder has a Don Quixote card, he automatically levels up. Oh, man.
Okay, guys, this link will be in the description below, and it's a YouTube video, which will make a lot of sense towards that joke. So pause this video, look at that link, ignore that eBay one up top, and you'll be fine.
That was amazing. That video is so good. It's so worth the watch. It's like 3 or 4 minutes long. It's the best thing I've ever seen. It made my whole damn day.
Yeah, it was great.
I was
But
like,
yeah,
oh.
no, and it's kind of sad because like the Warhammer world, it's so good, and now they came out with a new one, but it's essentially just you're playing as like the chosen from the gods, and it's a crazy power fan, like pretty much like a power trip one, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
So let me ask you a question. You have all your Warhammer dolls, right?
Yeah, I have all my Warhammer dolls. I spent way too much money.
No, it's fine. No. So have you found someone locally? Do you play Warhammer locally?
Yeah, I play with a couple buddies, but ever since they've started to kind of over the past year or so, they've really started people over, and their rules pretty much 9th edition killed it for me.
Okay, so that's what I'm getting at, right? So let's talk about weird mechanics and how to do crazy shit. You need to convince your buddies and give us a progress report. Use your Warhammer dolls, but use the Savage Worlds mass battle rules, and that's all you use is the mass battle rules to fight out a Warhammer scenario.
One of them I'd probably be able to do. The other one, if it's not made by Games Workshop, he would rather piss on it. So
he's one of those. He's a heretic. But I'm just curious if you could do a scenario, because they have little scenarios, right? Is how the game is played. That'd be kind of cool to see what you did. If I'm curious if Savage Worlds rules really hold up it would be a fun mass battle system.
Are you talking the Suede system or?
Yeah, the Suede system. It's tokens only. You make a couple of rolls, and then because the battles are like designed to be over quickly.
Yeah, that would be
cool. Now, you do know that there used to be an actual miniatures rule set for Savage Worlds. Back in first edition.
I believe I have it, actually. I have the... Yeah, I have...
I've got it somewhere. I've got the PDF somewhere.
I say, yeah, I think I have the PDF, and I have every edition, a hardcover of Savage Worlds, too, from the beginning to now. Yeah, so... I'm just curious. I know it's kind of a hard take because the individual units, you'd have to assign like edges to them maybe to reflect their different things, but there's also books for that could help you out.
Yeah, but to be honest, I would still be less complicated than 40K.
Oh, I'm sure it would. You just flip cards and roll dice and you're done.
Yeah, and if you look at 40K's rules, which like sorry for any people on here who are playing 40K, but you guys gotta admit some consistency would be kind of nice. Because it's like, oh, you have this rule for this unit and it's called, I don't know. I don't really care anymore.
Oh, found the poser.
What?
keep going. That's what everyone's thinking. You can't even name one rule, bro.
But like I was trying to think of one that has like the same rule but a different name, and that's just it. They have a lot of rules for different units, and because it's in a different faction, that unit's rule name will be different. And that's one part that I really don't like. And people are like, oh, but it's more thematic. I'm like, yeah, but if a Drakari player says a name of a moot, like of something that they have, is like, well, my guys have this. I'm like, I have no idea what it was. Well, and that's why a lot of times they're like, yeah, no, they have a 5-up invuln or a feel no pain. I'm like, okay, I know what a 5-up invuln is, but they'll have some sort of different name for it, even though the mechanics are totally the same. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's like they just have so many weird names, so it might actually be simpler to do a Savage Worlds game mass battle than an actual 40K game that takes 3, 4, 5 hours.
Yeah, sure. Because I'm just thinking, like, instead of tokens, your actual dolls could count as a token each, right?
Yeah,
because you got a point build on the army and all that jazz. So I don't know, it's just a food for thought. Just an exercise to see like if it was fun or not.
Yeah, no, I might be able to rope in a friend to do that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I don't know why I think it'd be cool. I just think it'd be interesting to see how it handles it.
Just the fascination of it all, right?
Yeah, basically.
And even like when we came up here, I said, okay, we're going to be talking about dice. But the thing is it's so ingrained in any RPG that you can't help but just start talking about RPGs whenever you talk about dice.
Well, yeah, because even on standard, standard systems, Like I have the Bunkers and Badasses box set. So they made a role playing game for Borderlands called Bunkers and Badasses, which is the game played in the video game, right? With Tiny Tina running it. And so the book looks like Tiny Tina wrote it. And it's awesome because it's got her crazy zany wit all over it and stuff. But they use a D20 in it. But they use a badass D20 as well. And but see, even in there, the rules are just this different version of how you use a D20 and what's going on with it. And when you have to pull certain things into it, yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't think you can escape discussing dice mechanics without getting into a couple of specific RPGs that kind of try to go their own way or do go their own way.
Oh yeah, like even like let's look at PBTA, which is just uses a simple 2d6, and then you add a couple additions, and just how they have the rules, it's like, okay, well, you only got this total, so you have consequences, or you totally succeed, or you totally fail, and that's just 2d6. And then you look at Blades in the Dark, which was essentially kind of almost like an offshoot with a totally, like, it was pretty much a stripped down PBTA system originally that was really built into almost like an entirely new game. And instead for that one, it uses like, okay, 5-6 is a success, and that's the same dice played in very different ways, and you may only have 2 dice still for Blades in the Dark, or sometimes maybe 3, but that's really it.
Yeah, it's a neat system. And that's what I saw someone, I think it was today, they were on Reddit and they were like, I've discovered how to, I've it's just so stupid. I've mathed out how to use the D20 in Powered by the Apocalypse game. I was like, are you stupid? Why? Just roll the fucking D6s. Roll 2D6. Why do you want a D20?
And probably that's because the D20 is his favorite dice. Simple as that. Like it's crazy because, like, even if you think about it, the D20, it's like, oh well, you could just do 8. You could just do 3d6 and 18 less, like GURPS, and
sure,
it's the same thing. It's just 2 less numbers, and you can really change any system to use any dice if you really wanted.
Oh, absolutely. Hell, with Neon Blood, I had the rules still in an old beta version of it, where the target number was 16, but if you rolled like 15 or like 13 to 15, it was a partial success. I was taking that kind of approach, and I just realized that it was not going to work for an OSR based game.
Yeah. Well, and even then, it's like some systems, the dice are so ingrained. Like you said, for OSR, like I can't see OSR using anything but a D20, except for maybe damages and all that kind of stuff. But for main rolling, like, it's kind of almost ingrained into it. And in order to use something else would almost just change the system entirely.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like, are you guys familiar with Index Card RPG and how it uses dice? And
I've heard of it, but
I've heard of Index, but
yeah. So that's kind of neat because it uses all the dice, and like, it's a D20 system, but how to best explain it? So, like, if you have like your character is like, it rolls a D20, but you have a level of effort that you get to kind of use or add in. So like the D10, if you're really good at something, or your ultimate dice, you have a magical effect dice, which is the D8. The ultimate is a D12, and so there's these little staggered steps on the character sheet. I know I'm not really doing it justice by explaining it, but it's just it really shows everything out. And then like it's kind of genius because it video games the rest of the system as well. So like a door may have I don't know, like 5 hearts, let's say. And so you've got to roll against that 5 hearts, and your level of success and what you're doing matters, and how you're affecting that. And so you're essentially whittling down hit points, if you will, of chests and locks and doors. And it's an interesting system of how it was designed. Huge following, actually. Well, not huge, not like millions of people, but and his art is awesome. Yeah,
tens of people are following it.
No, he's got thousands of people who follow him, but the art is phenomenal. I have the deck of cards that I use it for Savage Worlds Fantasy.
We have ones of twos of fans.
Yeah, it's like us.
It sounds like our podcast.
People download it and don't even leave a like, no comments.
Okay, to our listeners, you guys are awesome. Like the guys who listen to our podcast, they listen every single week, and I love you guys for that. Like it's great to see that. Like I can't see the exact people, but I can
But I
see
know
the
you're there.
numbers when they come, and I'm like, okay, I can see it's from this various region or anything like this. Like over the past month, we have gained actually a pretty decent UK audience.
Cool. No, I
Yeah, I
think it's
don't know
fun.
how
Yeah.
many. Yeah, I don't know how many, but you guys in the UK, hello, thank you for tuning in. Fantastic.
Nice.
But yeah,
So, is this the appropriate time to bring in the sex moves mechanic from Hard Light
yeah, yeah.
Fuck you.
Apocalypse?
Okay, Finder, go about your favorite
That's not
mechanics.
that's not mechanic. That's a move. That's not a mechanic.
Hey, do you have to roll for it? You
Yeah.
have to roll.
Fuck.
Therefore, how sexy you are in bed
Oh,
is
man.
a dice mechanic.
God, my fucking head hurts. What a just stupid. I'm sorry. I'm a werewolf, but I'm in love with Finder's half vampire, half banshee tween.
Oh, you're talking about Monster Hearts.
Fucking stupid as well. Just dumb. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's not why I
No,
play role playing games.
that's when
If you
dice go
enjoy it,
bad. That's naughty dice.
yeah, it's just
You
whatever,
know,
man.
speaking of when dice go bad, though,
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
there is a mechanic that I really like.
What's that?
And I've seen it in multiple game systems and different iterations, right? And that is the ability to do a reroll. Savage Worlds has the bennies. Your Mutant Year Zero has the ability to push a roll. Warhammer, you can reroll. And there are ways that all of those systems do things differently to limit how much people can reroll. But I love the fact that the fate of the story or the game or whatever it is that people are doing isn't dependent or hinges upon one stupid die roll that if you're like me it always fails you at the last minute. It's like,
Yeah, true. Do you know has a cool die mechanic that is cool because it doesn't require like I love bennies. I love the inspiration from 5th edition, even though almost no one uses it and it's reminded of it constantly.
Yeah.
The new Call of Cthulhu, you can push a roll. So if you fail a roll, you can push the roll, and it gets harder to accomplish. And then there's like narrative fallout and feedback if you fail it again. And I always thought that I think that's a really neat mechanic they put in the game, especially an investigative game.
Well, kind of speaking on the same thing, like even Wrath and Glory, game that me and Finder are in, I like they have a reroll mechanic, but the way how they actually do it, it's very interesting because like whenever you're rolling dice or anything like that, um, you'll end up having extras, and you can convert those extras depending on like what you rolled in order to either get like glory points so that you have like you can roll an extra dice on this mechanic, or you can get it for the what's the was it the right wrath token I think, where you'll be able to re-roll your rolls, and like they have everything, so it's like okay, I have X amount of things, I can either do extra damage, or I can save this, or I can save this for a re-roll, or I can save this for um, you know adding a bonus dice in the future for me or one of my players.
Yeah.
So like, I thought they had actually a really interesting dice mechanics.
That's
for
cool.
me, though, like yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
If it wasn't for the layout, honestly, it would probably be one of my favorite games. It's just the layout for me kind of kills it.
It sounds like a little bit like Conviction for Savage Worlds now, the new Suede Conviction, right?
Ooh,
You get that bonus.
Although you know a lot of people miss out on the really cool aspect of Conviction, which is you can use bennies to keep it going.
Right. Yeah. Well, also in the updated, right, there's no limit to how many conviction you can have. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I actually just picked up the new Suede rules.
Yeah, it's totally ball. I mean, it's a really smart idea, and it's kind of interesting. It does kind of what you were talking about too, for a system that I'm a little more familiar with.
Yeah, because
but yeah,
who was it? It was our guest from a few episodes ago, Russ. He's actually joining us in our group, and he was asking, he was like, "Hey, where do I get the Suede rules?" I was like, "Oh, okay." So I ended up sending him the thing, and then I realized I only have the old book, so I ended up kind of just picking it up for pretty much our future games. And the book itself is actually it's nice. It's a nice book. You can see artwork from all the other games that they've kind of implemented into it. So
Sure. Yeah, I mean they go all out. Their writing is a little more friendly on it this time
Yeah,
around.
it literally wasn't even 2 hours ago that I got it, and I
Nice.
still haven't touched it yet. Well, I haven't been able to read it yet.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. What other weird mechanics are there? There's
Well,
some
there's the
games some games do away with mechanics altogether for some things, right? Like Gumshoe.
yeah.
If there's shit you're supposed to find, you're gonna find it instead of, everything hinging on one shitty dice roll.
No, and then that makes a lot of sense because like
Of course.
another part of rolling dice is people do it too much sometimes, and they
Yeah.
over rely on having to roll for everything. We
Yeah.
talked about it in the past one, but it's like a ranger probably shouldn't have to roll dice to climb a tree.
Yeah, no. No. I think it's because a lot of GMs will have you do it because players tend to want to roll dice and it's
Mm-hmm.
sort of a comfort zone of like, or it's also a nervous habit of like, oh, I don't know what's happening next. So why don't you guys roll the dice real fast? And my bad habit is I want you to like, I got out of the habit. Like old school is like, oh, you didn't ask if there was a secret door in the fucking room to check for, so go fuck you. And I'm like, no, man, you're playing characters who are you're professionals, and so I take that consideration of like, what would your professional thief be doing? Cool, hey thief, give me a notice roll. Okay, cool, you pass it. Hey, there is an odd breeze shifting from a part of this room, and you can't really make it out. And then that gives you the clue to say, oh, okay, well, cool. Let me go check on something, right? And I kind of do that. And then we're going to have another roll more than likely, right, to see if you can actually find it. I just want to give you the heads up that there's something going on. And even if not, that die roll also counts as making you suspicious as a professional. Like there's something you should have probably known. And I don't know, maybe I do it too much as well. I mean, you guys play with me, but that's just kind of where a lot of the times I call for a roll comes from is,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you know, yeah,
Um,
I don't know.
Finder, you got any interesting mechanics?
Dread.
Well, there's a couple of them that come to mind that we haven't talked about. I can't remember the name of the one game. It's not Fiasco, but it's kind of like that where you use a Jenga tower instead of dice at all.
Dread.
Dread. Thank you. That's
Yep.
that's the one.
Yep.
And when I was reading up on that a little bit because it interested me, um, was the whole idea that that is supposed to help simulate that sense of dread that your character should be feeling because you now have to pull this tile out of the Jenga tower, and if it fails or if the tower falls, you lose.
Yeah.
um, so that I thought that's an interesting way, and hey, isn't that a board game as well? Um, and then 10 Candles has some interesting stuff where you've got like literally 10 candles that you light, and the DM starts out with, or the GM, I suppose I should say, sorry, Wizards of the Coast. Um, the GM has 0 dice to begin with, and it is through the characters themselves doing stuff that the GM finally starts getting dice as they fail or as they roll certain numbers. The GM gets those dice, and so that helps build that sense of dread as well as you see your pool of dice leaving. Uh, you have fewer to do things with, and this is as the game's progressing. So there's that, and even the candles themselves have a game impact because if a candle goes out for any reason, the game progresses forward to the next stage. And so if all of the candles go out, let's say somebody sneezed or whatever, and you blew the candles out, you are that far ahead just by the fact that those candles have gone out.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Like you've talked about it before, but like 10 Candles sounds like a really interesting game. I don't know how the playability, like replayability of it would be.
Well, it's literally one shot because so there's a series of the book comes with like 3 or 4 or 5 different scenarios.
Yep.
But every game, the whole premise is you're dead at the end of this game. So after these 3 or 4 hours, however long it takes to play the game, the characters all die. So it's not designed for campaigns.
No, I meant like replayability as in like
The gimmick of it.
Oh, gotcha. So the replayability of each scenario can actually be if you're with a creative group of people and friends, it's easy because you kind of set the parameters at the beginning, and you are not necessarily in control of your character because you come up with like one aspect of your character, but then the person next to you will influence that character based on the way the whole rule set up. So you could do it fairly easily if you had the right group of friends.
I mean, in the time you've talked about this, I literally rewrote The Haunting from Call of Cthulhu in my head to use 10 candles within seconds. And now I'm like, I really want to play fucking 10 candles Call of Cthulhu because I know exactly how I would do it, and I know exactly how it would end when the last candle goes out. Oh my god.
Well, I think
that
that one we would
fast.
have to do over video.
I don't even think you could do VTT on 10 candles to make it as effective. Because
No.
ideally, you got 10 candles and your room is dim and it's real creepy and shit.
Yeah.
So, oh man,
I,
yeah. Because
I actually thought of a way that you could do it on a VTT.
Yeah.
But you do lose the aspect of the candle going out spontaneously for no reason, or from somebody breathing too hard or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But there are mechanics within the game itself that give you a specific time when you're supposed to blow a candle out.
Yeah,
if
sure.
It's not out already.
I guess if you had everyone like, hey, dim your lights.
Yeah.
Get your cameras on, but dim your lights. Make sure it's dark because we're only going to use like fog of war with these 10 candles. So all you're seeing is the glow of your screen. And even now, Roll20 now has dark mode on it. So
yep,
yeah.
I don't know.
The difficult part would be the voice recording.
Oh, yeah, true.
Because part of the game is you pass around a voice recorder where you're leaving, like this is at the beginning of the game. You're leaving a message to whoever finds this message, right?
Yeah, sure.
And every player goes around and makes the recording, and then after the last candle is out, they play that last message, and so you get to hear all these messages that were recorded at the beginning of the game.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that'd be a tough one.
There's like a YouTube live play of it if you want to see what it looks like in action. It was a pretty interesting
nice
game. It was interesting enough that I'm like, you know what, I'll buy that game and I'll see if I can figure out a way to play it.
Yeah, no, I want to get it. It'd be fun. Because I think
you could do it. Yeah. Do the recording part even on here, because like even the program that we use, you can stop, pause. Like you could stop it, you can pause the recording, and you can still keep on talking. Yeah, so you could easily record a certain thing, and then it all gets just sent to like it all just becomes one singular file. So then you can just share that one file to everyone.
Would it be creepy though? I don't know. Like we ran Call of Cthulhu. Creepy, no. Was Call of Cthulhu creepy at all online?
No.
Yeah, see, I was like, I don't think horror games are that well played online.
No, I don't think so.
Because human beings really feed off of like that energy coming off of each other in a room.
No, that's 100% true. Like, and by yourself, like,
yeah,
the only thing
like
that
whatever
is scary is one of my cats coming up and attacking me.
Right, like, okay, yeah, it's my turn. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, so
I'm sorry, Scott. One other mechanic that I think I would love to try out sometime is the game Dialect.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's right up my alley. I kept looking at it and I was like, man, how do you talk about dialect? I love that game. Just
I haven't even read the book yet. I have the book and I have the deck of cards sitting here on my desk. I haven't read it yet. And I have been like this close, if you could see my fingers like inches apart, from buying the compendium on Roll20, even though I know I would never end up playing the compendium or using the compendium on Roll20.
Just such a cool game. And as a professional linguist, it's just like, this is just so awesome. I just nerded the fuck out when I got it. I was like, this is so great.
I thought of another game too.
What's that?
I think it even won some awards, but that game, Alice is Missing.
Yeah, you're right.
Of it. I've not seen. I don't know anything about it.
It's all meant to be done in silent, and it's all done through text messages.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. No, it won a lot of awards because it's actually a very clever, very very clever game. Yeah, there's that. There's one that was no, that was a video game, but it was done to the perspective that you're blind, so there's nothing on the screen, but it's an audio drama that you use your headphones for to kind of go along and take the story forward. And then there's one PBTA that I have that the GM plays the character trying to survive like a high altitude mountain, pass, like there's an accident and now you're trying to survive like the snowstorm and the drifts, and the players at the table play the elements in the mountain.
So the players are trying to kill the GM.
Yes, yeah, trying to kill that character, and the GM is making them. They're making the moves, and that fictional character is trying to not succumb to the harsh reality of nature.
That's interesting.
That's a different take on a normal game. It almost reminds me of that one video game, The Long Dark.
Yeah.
It also reminds me of a scenario. So my Friday gaming group, we've got this setting, for lack of a better term, called Flux, which is our throwaway game. Like when nobody has a game plan, we'll play Flux, and the idea behind Flux is all characters are going to die at the end, but they're all brought back to life because they're not really in this fantasy realm. The first game, they got transported into these bodies of angels and demons, and the demons were trying to get this kid in a barn to commit suicide, and the angels were trying to prevent that. And the party randomly went into either an angel or a demon. So it was a total PvP party versus each other, trying to do something really dark or prevent something from really dark happening. It was a lot of fun to play that scenario.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah,
dark.
Cool.
Yeah. I was going to ask you something, but I'm not going to. But yeah, no, it sounds really interesting.
So, back onto the subject of dice. One last thing. Do you guys have any superstitions that you do with dice?
I don't know. I've been VTT for so long, so no, because with Roll20, I can't really change my dice out.
Yeah.
Before that, if dice would go bad, I would purgatory them for a while, and I'd pull out new dice. My sons, even on VTT, they never start a game without rolling a D100 to see how it rolls. And if it rolls poorly, they change their character color, or they change their player color in Roll20 to change the color of the dice, and they roll again. And when they get a good color, they're like, "Okay, that's the color of my dice now."
Oh, I love it! I love it.
That's amazing.
What about you, Scott? You got any for?
No, man, I'm not superstitious or that shit. They're just randomizers. It doesn't matter. I do believe that Roll20 sucks balls, and then its algorithm is hot garbage when it comes to making an algorithm work. Because sometimes the Roll20 just does not calculate well.
No, it doesn't. I definitely have some superstitions. Whenever especially if I'm playing like a game with multiple dice, like I always have like 3 or 4 of each, and I'll make them battle it out. And it's like the lowest ones. It's like if let's say it's all D6s, and I only need 5 for the game. Well, I have like 25 of them, so I'm gonna roll them all. I'll take out the 6s and I'll take the 5s. Then I'll roll the ones that are left again, and then I'll take out that, and then I'll roll, like let's say I have like 15 left. I'll roll. If I get enough that are on like the highest number of 6, I'll keep those ones, and only 5 of them. And if I have more than that, I will make sure to figure that out. But then I kind of also have a dice purgatory, but I more make it a dice hell. So when I have dice that actively perform horribly over a long period of time, I put them to the side and I actually put them in a different bag. And my whole goal is to eventually, out of all the failed dice, to glue them together and then like put them together, resin them so that they're totally solid together, and make a dice tower out of all the failed dice, so that when a dice goes down that dice tower, it knows what its fate can potentially be.
The fuck is wrong with you?
Newsflash, Santa. Dice don't have a brain. They don't understand the threat.
Well, say that to that one that got 1-5 freaking times in a row. How the hell do you get a 1-5 times in a row? No,
I don't know. I do like the idea though. It's pretty cool. Like that's actually kind of cool.
I know it. Do I really believe that? I know yes. It isn't, but it's more fun to believe that they don't. It's role playing, just in real life.
You believe it.
I believe.
I want to believe.
Yeah.
We're gonna do some ASMR real fast with dice clacking.
Ooh. And I don't know if
I hate you so much.
that was awesome. I loved it. Oh, I was not expecting that.
No one was.
I always have dice next to me, man.
Well, you know what? I think that's. Oh yeah. Speaking of was it ASMR and all that shit, although not actually talking about ASMR. uh, if you guys go to Role Playing as Smart People on YouTube, I'm starting to put the episodes onto YouTube, and hopefully we will be releasing some video stuff down the line. Maybe I'll do some reviews. So yeah, that's something to look forward to. Just kind of made me think of that for some strange reason.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah, I don't know why.
Maybe we'll do Dice ASMR for.
There you go.
Yeah.
We'll do some actual plays so people can be like, "Look, you put your money where your mouth is."
Yeah, you guys talk shit about everything,
And be like,
including each other.
I don't know. I mean, I want to do actual plays, but it's going to require some editing. It is a little spicy, so
yeah. We'll just have to. No, we can't keep it PC.
No. When I go to cons, even when I'm meeting new groups. Well, I think I did the guys the first time too. I was like, hey, I'm gonna be totally honest. I spent almost 30 years as a professional sailor. I'm not gonna control what comes out of my mouth. So if there are naughty words you don't like to hear, you gotta let me know.
Yeah. Well, that'll be a project, I guess, for me.
I'm just keeping it 100.
Yeah, I know.
It's not like it's terrible things. It's just like it's FF and FF and F and F and F and F. Yeah, I went to one con. I forgot to set the age limit, and someone brought their teenager, and I was like, no. Why God? Why have you forsaken me? I was like, yeah, we're gonna play a game about you guys being murderous hobos. This is gonna go well. So awesome. And then you stub your toe and you say, gosh darn it. The sword slides into your throat and you're like, oh no, help me.
I got something stuck in my throat.
Oh, yeah, oh exactly. Gosh golly.
Like, oh, why do you swear so much? Because I know how real military people talk and we're not nice. We have really sick sense of humors. Anyway, dice mechanics. There you go.
Well,
what?
Yeah, no, it's we do plan to try and release some video stuff. I'm working on maybe some reviews for maybe Mark Borg, maybe another game. So that'll be fun. Also, yeah, we do want to do some live plays of RPGs. So if you guys have any suggestions, let us know. We would love to. We're hitting about
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Let's play what you guys want us to play, man. I'm cool with that.
Challenge. Name anything.
Yeah, we'll play it. As long as it's
strip dialect. No, your verb is out of fashion. Take it off.
So, RP people, that's all the time we have for today.
Wait, no. You're forgetting something.
I did. Okay. Finder, what did we learn today?
Well, for those that were listening to the last episode we recorded, which was what changing systems. I'm going to give you one because like we didn't get
3 episodes ago. Duh.
That's okay. I don't care. I'm giving it to him now. We learned that Santa loves to do accents and voices in his games. And so if you want to hear him do an entire episode in an accent and a voice, all you need to do is comment and let him know.
That's so
terrible. And he will do that for you. Today, though, we learned that Santa is really naive about
Oh, look at that. He accidentally got muted.
Oh, why would you? Did he mute himself?
No, I muted him. No. I mean, no.
But we learned that there's going to be an ASMR mechanic in some future game.
Oh, God, no. Please
don't. I'm working on it, man. I'm working on it.
Send me the audio. I'll put it to a video.
Oh, makes me want to throw up when I hear that shit.
You'll be throwing up on glorious ASMR dice. That's what.
Oh, God. Do you want to know what it sounds like when you put a banana deep inside your mouth? Like, no, I never did actually want to know that shit. So no.
I don't get ASMR. I don't, but
no, me either.
Some people love it. I don't get it, but
I will remain silent on the topic so that people can make their own opinions about what I like or don't like.
I bet you're an ASMR, right?
Yeah.
No, I had to look it up to see what it even was.
Yeah, come on. He doesn't even listen to podcasts. We all know that.
Our fucking resident boomer.
Yep.
Get off my lawn.
I know.
So
Just for that, I'm not going to give any more comments about what we've learned this session.
Well,
shit.
You didn't talk about what we learned this session yet.
Yeah, I did. I said that you're naive when it comes to buying. You muted me, so you didn't hear me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
Dummy.
But I did say that we learned that you are naive when it comes to buying dice because you can only buy D6s in bulk. We have learned that there are a lot of interesting systems out there with interesting mechanics that go beyond the dice. Cards are awesome.
True.
And that's where I'm going to end.
All right.
Recording.
Well, RP people, that's all the time we had for today. I hope you enjoyed the episode where we try and discuss dice. If you want to send us an email, you can send it to us at rpsmartpeople@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on Twitter at rpsmartpeople. Also, we have now the YouTube channel that just popped out. Right now, it's just audio with a little picture of our nice little RP Smart People thing. And just search Role Playing as Smart People. Hope you guys have a good week, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.